So finally our last one says, okay, I've got to make a sign chart, and the first thing I gotta do is write it as a single fraction, because, well, right now I've got two fractions being added together. So in order to write this as a single fraction, if I'm adding or subtracting fractions, I need to have a common denominator. So in order to get a common denominator, yes, they are quantities, but all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this fraction and multiply it by the quantity that's not there, which is x plus 3 in the denominator. And I've got to do that to the bottom as well. And then I'm going to take this fraction and I'm going to multiply it by x minus 1 times another quantity of x minus 1 on the bottom, because what I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. So all in all I got to do is distribute that, so I get x plus 3 over the quantity of x minus 1 times another quantity of x plus 3. And then I've got that plus sign in between it. I've got to distribute that 2, which would be 2x minus 2, all over x plus 3 times another quantity of x minus 1. Oops, that's not equal to anymore, sorry. Is less than or equal to 0. So now that I've got a common denominator, I can just rewrite this as one big fraction. So I've got x plus 3 plus 2x minus 2 all over the quantity of x minus 1 times x plus 3, and the denominator is less than or equal to 0. Combine your like terms, please. Don't just leave it like that. That's boring. So then I'd get 3x plus 1 all over x minus 1 times the quantity of x plus 3's. Sorry, lots of 1s, lots of 3's. It'll be okay. It's less than or equal to 0. So finally, all I got to do is make a sign chart. Cool. You know that you're going to have 3 different values. Some of them are going to be 0, some of them are going to be undefined. Spooky stop. So I've got -3, I've got -1/3, and I've got 1, all stemming from those lovely points. So my top is that -1/3. I set that value equal to 0, solve for x. My +1 came from that particular factor on my denominator, which will make my whole thing undefined. And then finally, my last little bit over here stemmed from that particular factor. I set that equal to 0, solved for x. Okay, so now all I gotta do, plug numbers into the top and the bottom. So if I plug in -4, for example, into the top, I'm gonna get a negative overall. If I plug in a negative into that first piece on the bottom, I'm gonna get a negative overall. And if I plug in -4 over there, I'm gonna get negative over here as well. So overall, that whole thing is gonna be negative. If I plug in something in between -3 and -1/3, for example, -2. So I'm going to get a negative over here, I'm going to get a negative, and I'm going to get a positive. So overall, that the whole piece is going to be positive. And then finally, if I plug in 0, because that's in between -1/3 and +1, I will get positive over a negative over positive, which will overall be negative. And then finally, I will plug in a number greater than 1 into every single one of those little pieces. Every single one of my factors, I should be a little bit more specific. I should get positive over a positive over positive. Sorry, I shouldn't have said over again. Positive over a positive times positive, which will give me, all in all, a positive. So it's asking, where is this greater than or equal to 0? No, it's not. It's asking me where am I less than or equal to 0. I'm thinking about the last problem. Sorry. Alright, and where is that less than or equal to 0? That's just asking where it's negative. It is negative from -infinity all the way to -3. This entire interval here. And then it's also negative on this little interval here, which is from -1/3 all the way to 1. But again, it's got that over equal to bar, so this time I can actually include my intercepts where it crosses that axis from either going from negative to positive or positive to negative. So I do not need parentheses on my regular numbers this time. Other than that, have a great day. I'll see you guys later.